Karen Huger hires new attorney before going to rehab. Karen Huger is facing legal action after being found guilty of driving under the influence. She fired her previous legal team and hired new attorneys. Her sentencing was also requested to be postponed as she is going to rehab. Karen Huger gets DUI. Karen Huger, a star on The Real Housewives of Potomac, is facing legal consequences after being found guilty of driving under the influence and other related charges following a car crash in March 2024. After a Maryland jury convicted her in December 2024, she decided to fire her previous legal team and hire new attorneys. She also requested a postponement of her sentencing, which was originally scheduled for January 29, 2025, to give her more time to complete a rehab program and for her new lawyers to prepare her defense. The judge granted her request, moving her sentencing to February 26, 2025. The charges against Karen include DUI, negligent driving, and failure to control speed, while a charge of reckless driving was dismissed. The crash occurred when Karen, driving her 2017 Maserati, struck a median, hit a street sign, and then slammed into a tree. Authorities arrested her after believing she was under the influence at the time. Karen Huger in rehab. In her motion to delay the sentencing, Karen's new legal team explained that they had recently taken over her case. They needed more time to review the evidence and prepare their arguments. They also mentioned that Karen had entered a private, out-of-state rehab program, making it difficult for them to communicate with her due to the program's strict rules. She was scheduled to return from the program on January 28, 2025, just one day before the original sentencing date. Her new lawyers asked for an extension to file a memorandum on what type of sentence Karen believes is appropriate. Before her trial, Huger attempted to block body cam footage and statements she made to the police from being used as evidence. She claimed she wasn't read her Miranda rights, arguing that her interrogation was illegal. However, the judge sided with the prosecution, allowing the footage and her statements to be used in court. Huger's decision to enter rehab has been supported by her team and family. Her representative, Ryan Tresdale, confirmed in January 2025 that Karen chose to enter the program to focus on her recovery, which led her to miss the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion taping. Her former attorney, A. Scott Bolden, expressed disappointment in the jury's verdict but respected the decision, stating they would continue to pursue an appeal on Karen's behalf. Karen Huger sat in the back of the black SUV, oversized sunglasses shielding her eyes from the flashing cameras outside her Potomac estate. The Grande Dame of Potomac had survived many things: salacious rumors, IRS troubles, and even a fiery press conference about her fragrance line. But this was new territory. She turned to her assistant, Devin, a fresh-faced 20-something who barely knew how to hold her designer bag properly, and sighed. "Are you sure he's the best?" "Miss Huger, I did my research. Attorney Preston Whitmore is the best crisis manager in D.C. He's handled senators, CEOs, even a real housewife from another franchise." Devin cleared his throat. He doesn't lose. Karen let out a delicate hum of approval. She couldn't afford to lose. Not now. The news was out. Her trip to rehab wasn't a quiet, soul-searching retreat, but a full-fledged scandal. The headlines were relentless. Karen Huger's partying spirals, rehab or ruin. The Grande Dame's fall from grace. She scoffed. They love to tear a woman down. The SUV pulled up to a sleek office building in Georgetown, where Preston Whitmore's law firm occupied the top floor. Karen smoothed her ivory Balmain blazer, squared her shoulders, and strutted inside as if she were about to host an intimate soiree instead of a legal consultation that could shape the rest of her life. Preston Whitmore was already waiting, standing tall in a navy suit so crisp it looked freshly pressed onto his skin. His piercing gaze met hers. "Mrs. Huger, let's talk." Karen smirked, taking a seat across from him. "Call me Karen, darling. I only use Mrs. Huger when I'm reading the girls for filth." Preston gave her a polite chuckle, but wasted no time getting down to business. "Your situation is delicate, but not impossible. The media is circling like vultures. We need to control the narrative before they do." Karen pursed her lips. "And what narrative do you propose?" "We craft a statement, not a teary apology, not a scandalous confession, but a carefully curated declaration. You're seeking wellness, not punishment. You're reclaiming your power, not surrendering to it. And we make sure this doesn't become an open invitation for the vultures to feast." The SUV pulled up to a sleek office building in Georgetown, where Preston Whitmore's law firm occupied the top floor. Karen smoothed her ivory Balmain blazer, squared her shoulders, and strutted inside as if she were about to host an intimate soiree instead of a legal consultation that could shape the rest of her life. Preston Whitmore was already waiting, standing tall in a navy suit so crisp it looked freshly pressed onto his skin. His piercing gaze met hers. "Mrs. Huger, let's talk." Karen smirked, taking a seat across from him. "Call me Karen, darling. I only use Mrs. Huger when I'm reading the girls for filth." Preston gave her a polite chuckle, but wasted no time getting down to business. "Your situation is delicate, but not impossible. The media is circling like vultures. We need to control the narrative before they do." Karen pursed her lips. "And what narrative do you propose?" Preston laced his fingers together. "You need to acknowledge that you're taking responsibility while maintaining your legacy. This isn't just about optics. It's about protecting your brand, your businesses, and your future in this industry." She tilted her head, intrigued. "Go on." "We craft a statement, not a teary apology, not a scandalous confession, but a carefully curated declaration. You're seeking wellness, not punishment. You're reclaiming your power, not surrendering to it. And we make sure this doesn't become an open invitation for the vultures to feast." Karen nodded, impressed. "I like the way you think." Preston slid a folder across the desk. "This is the agreement for my representation. Standard, but thorough." Karen flipped through the pages, her manicured nails tapping against the crisp paper. "I assume you'll be worth every penny. I don't just clean up messes, Mrs. Huger. I prevent them from happening again." She raised a single brow. "I like that even better." By the time she left Whitmore's office, she felt lighter. This wasn't defeat. This was strategy. As the car pulled back into her estate's circular driveway, she saw Ray standing at the door, arms crossed, worry written across his face. "Karen," he said as she stepped out, "are you sure about all this?" She took his hands in hers, squeezing them gently. "Raymond, my love, I am always sure." She let out a breath. "But I also know when I need a little help." He kissed her forehead. "Then go get it." Inside, she sat at her vanity, looking at her reflection. She had built an empire, commanded attention, and become the grande dame of Potomac. This was just another chapter. Tomorrow, she would check into the most exclusive wellness retreat money could buy. But tonight, she would toast to her resilience, with sparkling water, of course.